Our second week of the Pigskin Preview, and you can hear all these interviews if you missed some of them on StatelineSportsHub.com. On the trending bar, you can hit that, and it'll take you right to all the interviews we've done, and we've done a bunch, so we're looking forward to it. Right now, we're going to welcome one of the newest coaches in the Nick 10. He'll be over at Jefferson leading the Jayhawks, Ken DuBose. And, Coach, good to have you on, and welcome to the Nick 10.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Let's talk about Jefferson. Jefferson's had a struggle the last couple of years, 2-0-9 season. They had some issues with some things down the road that made it uncomfortable for a lot of people. So you're coming into a program where you get to kind of maybe knock it down from the bottom and build it straight back up.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenge here, just getting acclimated coming from college. But I'm excited about the kids that we have in the building and the opportunity that we have to build this thing. I do feel like the last coaching regime put some things in place, and we're going to kind of pick up from those and then add on some of the things that I like to do and get this thing up and running.
What was the first thing you decided to do when you took the head job? Did you say, well, we're just going to look at everybody, we're going to see what works the best for us, or did you, like you say, kind of use some of the things that Coach Babcock and company had in place?
Yeah, no, when I came in, I just wanted to assess what we had. So we had an opportunity this summer to kind of get out and about and do some 7-on-7 things against some of the teams from the Chicagoland area, and that was really an assessment phase for us. We had the opportunity to see, what type of athletes we had, what type of dedication we would get from the kids in terms of the numbers, and really to kind of see if we can get the kids to buy in. It's real tough to only have 30 days to do that, But I think that was one of the things that's going to build this program going forward.
So the 7-on-7 was a key for you this year, just to get a chance to see your kids and probably make those relationships too.
Yeah, it was fun. The kids had never done anything like that. We actually we traveled to 4 different schools. We played some of the better schools in the Chicagoland area. And, and we accounted for ourselves better than I thought that we would, being the team that had never thrown the football. I mean, the identity obviously was a ground-and-pound wishbone attack, and this will be more of a multiple attack that we're trying to develop here. I mean, I'm not really married to any specific scheme, specifically offensively, but I think if you got kids who can run and catch it, then you want to get them the football. If you got kids who can run it, you want to give them the football. So we're just trying to see what we have, and I think that the core group of kids here is underclassmen, so I think the future is really bright.
We're talking to Jefferson head football coach Ken DuBose. It's his first year at Jefferson. Let's take a look now at the offense. Tell us a little bit about your offense and some of the things you have in place and some of the things you learned in that 7-on-7.
Well, like I said earlier, we're going to be a multiple offense. It'll be kind of a combination of a pro-style offense with a little bit of ground and pound with a couple of tight ends, some quick game action stuff, and then we'll also spread it out a little bit. So we kind of have a dynamic of 2 offenses. We have 2 quarterbacks here that are developing that I think will give us a different dynamic. One kid being more of a runner, and another kid who hadn't played football here for 3 years that can throw it pretty good. So you can't replicate being on the football field for a few years. So when you have kids who hadn't played for 2 or 3 years, there's definitely a curve that they have to go through. And then when you factor in the physicalities of the football game, we have to see what they do in those scenarios. So the next few days will be key as we start to, do these mini scrimmages with one another.
How much of it is more the mental part of it? 2-0-9 season, I think 2-7 before that, and the other issues that popped up. Is that a big part of what you're looking at, is probably just trying to develop that winning attitude with these kids?
Yeah, for me, I don't even really look at that. I mean, I can't speak on what happened with the previous regimes. The only thing that I can build on is that when I came into this program, they finished the season with 36 kids. Mm-hmm. We have about 84 kids in the program right now.
Wow.
And my goal is to continue to grow that with the understanding that a lot of the kids that we have, they hadn't played a lot of football. So we want to keep things simple so that they can play fast. We're not going to do a ton of different things. I think we'll probably package more people than most people would do at this stage, but I think it'll benefit us better. I mean, if we have kids who can run around a little bit, they may be in certain packages as opposed to some of our bigger kids when we try to do some of the power stuff.
In defense, who are you looking at to help you on defense, and what's your thoughts on that for the Jayhawks this year?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure all the guys in the conference know from the DuPage days that I'm a 4-3 guy.
Mm-hmm.
So we're definitely going to be a 4-3 defense. And I think Demetrius Markham and Tanner Dawson, two returners that we have, I think that they could potentially be as good as any of the kids we have in the conference. Dawson was a kid who played linebacker for these guys last year. He's about 255 pounds, and then Markham he's a 6'3", 230-pound kid, and both of those kids are tough. Now, I'm a defensive line guy by trade, so that's something that when I first got here, I wanted to make sure that we had that, and we have some kids. There's another kid named Alexis Ragoza that we had. That's been a 3-year kid that was mostly an offensive lineman that we converted over to defense as well. So I think we'll have some pieces up front to get some stuff done in the middle. And I think some of the athletes that we converted over from basketball on the back end will help us too. We got about 3 or 4 kids that played basketball here that hadn't played football, but they can run around a little bit.
When you look at that, you said you got 84 kids out. Is that going to allow you to two platoon a little bit in some spots?
Well, I think we have to find out, over the next span of the next 3 days, who can strike people. Once we get that in, I mean, I would ideally like to be in that situation where, we are 2 platooning, but obviously your best athletes will play. I think we could be in a situation where it'll be pretty close to that. I mean, we'll have some kids in the situation where I call them crossover players, where in certain packages they'll fit on one side of the ball, but they'll have a primary position on the other. And I really feel like with that approach, we can kind of get some continuity on the teams, because that was one of the things when I came here. These guys didn't have a lot of people, and it makes it very difficult if you're a ground and pound team, to have guys going both ways.
Special teams always a big deal. We talked to Coach Dan Apino, and he's been around for a long time coaching high school football, and they said sometimes it's hard to find those guys. How about a new guy coming in and taking over a program? I know they had a really good kicker last year.
And he's returning.
Good.
I mean, if you ask me, he's probably the best player on the team. I mean, people don't realize that, and again, coming from the college side of the house, we want to be able to look at all 3 phases. Again, that's another thing with having systems implemented that are going to fit your skill set. With us getting more athletes, not so much size and girth, but just athletes. It'll allow us to do different things. But yeah, Alex is, I think he's a Division I prospect. If he decides to go that route, he's also a Division I prospect for soccer. And I know last year he got quite a bit of work. So I hope to get to see him more on the offensive side, kicking field goals and PATs as opposed to punting the football.
And he's got a little sass in him, too. I know he got in a couple of scuffles last year because he was making tackles on special teams. You going to tell him not to do that so much this year, Coach?
No, we want to try to get him more in a directional kick, and and we can kind of dictate the coverage of how we're going to do it. But yeah, he's a very valuable part of what we do. But he's also part of that 11-man unit, so he's going to have times where he's going to have to get downfield and make plays.
It was fun to watch him that game. I saw him. He got a little sassy. I like that out of a kicker. Hey, let's take a look. I know that you're new to the Nick 10, but you've been around this area for a long time. And what do you think about the Nick 10 as you come into it as the first-year head coach?
Just looking at it top to bottom, it's probably as strong as it's been in the last few years. Obviously, I mean, everybody, is ranting and raving about what Dan's got going over at Auburn. But if you look top to bottom, I mean, Harlem, Hononegah, and, Belvedere schools, they're in a different dynamic than what we face in Rockford. We're basically in zones. It's been proven that if you got the best kids from Rockford, a la Boylan, you could win the whole thing. The talent is here. We just have to secure the talent that is in our zone over here at Jefferson High School and continue to compete. I think that's the big thing when you don't have a history of winning. Kids tend to think that every time you take the field that they're playing from 20 points behind. We have to just start fast and believe in ourselves. But from the conference standpoint, I mean, on film, I've liked what I've seen in Harlem and Hononegah. I mean, obviously, they've got some things going on over there, but the program and the kids are going to keep the beat rolling. And Dan's got some athletes at Auburn. I mean, there's no doubt about that. So it'll be fun to watch. And I think a lot of the people statewide don't really realize it. I mean, having the opportunity to look at it from a collegiate perspective, I've always recruited Rockford because I had some ties here. But generally across the state, they don't really respect the area as much as they should. And that's one of the things I appreciate about you guys with the city challenges and some of the things that we're doing for the kids. I really want to help and promote any of the kids we can get from the area to get out here and get opportunity to play after high school.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for taking time to talk to us. Look forward to seeing you on some of those Rockford City Challenge games, and good luck and have a good second week.
Hey, I appreciate it, and go Jayhawks.
There we go. We've been talking to new Jefferson head football coach Ken DuBose, and the Jayhawks look to be in good hands.